You know that feeling when you open your bank app and instead of slamming it shut in panic, you actually smile? You're not wondering if buying groceries means surviving on ramen for a week. You're not terrified that one flat tire or medical bill will wipe you out. Here's what's crazy. Most financial experts will tell you that kind of peace doesn't come until you have six figures or even $1 million. That's what they push. That you need a massive number before money feels different. But they're wrong. There's a much smaller milestone, one that almost nobody talks about, where your relationship with money fundamentally changes. And once you hit it, your stress, your options, even your career trajectory all start to shift. That number, $20,000 in savings. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, compound interest, and why so many people never escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle. The reality is, wealth doesn't just happen, it follows patterns that anyone can use. If you want to understand how building wealth actually works, instead of just hoping your situation magically improves, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button if this video helps you see money differently. Think about trying to push a massive boulder uphill. At first, it feels impossible. You're straining with everything you've got and the thing barely moves. You start wondering if you'll ever make progress or if the effort is even worth it. But then something changes. You hit a certain ridge and suddenly gravity flips. The boulder starts to roll, not against you, but with you. Momentum takes over. What once felt like a grind starts to feel natural, even inevitable. Money works the same way. In the early stages, saving feels brutal. Every dollar is a sacrifice, progress looks microscopic, and you wonder if it will ever matter. But the truth is, there's a financial ridge. Cross it and everything changes. Stress fades, opportunities open, and for the first time, you feel like money is working for you instead of the other way around. That ridge? It's around $20,000 in savings. Here's the part no one tells you. When you're living with less than a month's expenses in the bank, your brain is stuck in survival mode. Psychologists have shown that when people are financially insecure, their cortisol levels spike. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and it literally shuts down your ability to think long term. That's why when you're broke, every decision feels heavier. Should I buy the cheaper groceries even if they're less healthy? Can I afford gas to drive across town? Do I risk skipping that bill this month just to cover rent? You're not making strategic choices, you're putting out fires. Now, here's the flip. Vanguard found that even having $2,000 set aside improves financial well-being by 21%. That's not a huge number, but it gives your brain just enough breathing room to step out of panic mode. And when you scale that up to a real safety net, around $20,000 or 3 to 6 months of expenses for most people, the shift is massive. Suddenly, life feels different. A car repair isn't a catastrophe, it's an inconvenience. Rent going up doesn't force a meltdown, it sparks a conversation. You're not living in fear of the next expense because you know you can handle it. If you spend $3,000 a month, your runway target is $20K. That's 6 months of freedom. Break it down into milestones. First $1,000, then $2,000, then $5,000, until you reach that ridge. Each stage pulls your brain further out of survival mode and into stability. Here's the catch. Building your first $20,000 feels like the hardest thing you'll ever do. It's slow, it's frustrating, and sometimes it feels like nothing is changing. You save a little, you invest a little, and the numbers barely move. But that's the illusion. The first 20K is all uphill. After that, momentum finally starts working with you instead of against you. Think about it like this. A $1,000 account earning 10% gives you just $100, it feels like pocket change. But once you hit $20,000, the same return throws off $2,000 a year. That's money you actually notice. That's rent, a vacation, or months of groceries earned without you lifting a finger. Most people give up before they cross that line, so they never feel the shift. They assume compounding is just a myth or something that only works for the rich. Don't stop before you get there. Push through the grind until you hit 20 kilobytes. Because once you do, the snowball finally starts rolling and you'll wonder why you ever thought it was slow. Here's the part no one tells you. Investing doesn't feel real when you're starting small. A $500 account earning 10% gives you $50. Even $2,000 only earns $200. You don't feel that in your day-to-day life? It's a nice dinner out, nothing more. But once you cross $20,000, everything changes. A 10% return is now $2,000. That's a brand new laptop or 2 months of rent or a summer vacation. Suddenly, the returns show up in your real life. This is why so many people think investing is a scam or a waste of time. They never stick with it long enough to reach scale, so the numbers feel abstract. They save for a while, see tiny gains, and give up. But once you hit that 20K threshold, the math finally feels tangible. That's when compounding stops being an idea you read about in a book and starts being money you can actually use. And once you experience that, it's very hard to go back. Here's the part that rarely gets talked about. Hitting $20,000 in savings isn't just a financial milestone, it's a psychological one. To get there, you've already proven something to yourself. You've said no to things you didn't need. You resisted lifestyle creep when your income went up. You built consistency even when it felt boring. That discipline rewires your identity. You stop thinking like someone who's just trying to save and start thinking like someone who has money. And that subtle shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're not as tempted by impulse buys because you don't want to sabotage the person you've become. You stop obsessing over little expenses like coffee and you start scrutinizing big ones. The car payment, the rent, the recurring bills. You see yourself as a builder, not a spender. And here's the real kicker. Identity is sticky. Once you see yourself as the kind of person who can save 20K, you're far less likely to blow it all on something stupid. You've crossed a line where protecting your money feels natural, almost automatic. That's why this milestone matters so much. It's not just a number. It's proof that you're in control. And once you know that, you'll never look at money the same way again. Here's where $20,000 stops being about numbers and starts being about freedom. For most people, that's roughly 6 months of living expenses. And 6 months of breathing room is what I call walking away money. Think about what that does to your mindset. When you're broke, you're chained to every paycheck. You put up with toxic bosses, miserable clients, and soul-crushing work because you don't have a choice. One missed paycheck could sink you. But with 20K law in the bank, everything shifts. You don't have to quit tomorrow, but you could. And that possibility alone changes how you carry yourself. Suddenly, you're not negotiating out of desperation. You're negotiating from a position of strength. You can say no without panicking. You can push for a raise without worrying you'll get fired. Ironically, just knowing you can walk away often means you don't have to. Employers sense confidence. Clients respect boundaries. Opportunities flow more easily to someone who isn't desperate. This is why 20K is more than savings. It's leverage. It buys you the option to make better choices, and that option alone can pay for itself many times over. Here's where most people mess up. They cross $20,000 in savings and then tell themselves, I've earned this. Time for a new car, time for a bigger place. And just like that, they reset the game back to zero. The problem isn't the coffee or the takeout. Those little expenses aren't what hold you back. The real traps are the big ticket items, housing and transportation. The average person spends $600 to $800 a month on their car alone. Over a lifetime, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have been building wealth. And housing? If your rent or mortgage eats 40 to 50% of your take-home pay, you'll always feel broke, no matter how much you make. That's why so many people hit 20K, feel good for a while, and then slide right back into financial stress because they upgraded their lifestyle instead of protecting their foundation. Once you have 20K, you need to see it for what it really is, proof of discipline, proof that you can hold money. The danger is treating it like a reward instead of a runway. If you want to stay free, focus less on cutting lattes and more on controlling the two monsters, housing and transport. Keep them in check and your 20K milestone turns into 40K, then 100K. Blow them up and you're back to paycheck even if your income doubles. Something strange happens once you hit $20,000. Your brain stops scanning for threats and starts scanning for opportunities. Before this point, all your energy is consumed by survival math. Can I cover rent? What if the car breaks down? What if I lose my job? You don't even have the bandwidth to think about growth. You're too busy putting out fires. But with 20K as a buffer, your mind unlocks. Suddenly, you notice things you never saw before. That coworker talking about starting a side business. Now you can imagine joining in because you're not terrified of a 3-month dry spell. That professional conference you always skipped because it felt too expensive. Now it feels like an investment, not a gamble. This is what wealthy people mean when they say money goes to money. It's not magic. It's not some secret club. It's simply that once you're out of survival mode, you can finally see and act on opportunities that were invisible when you were broke. Here's the real consequence. Opportunities compound just like money. Take one smart bet when you're financially stable, and it often leads to the next. But you can't get any of them if you're stuck worrying about your next paycheck. Crossing 20K flips the script. You stop asking, what if this goes wrong? And you start asking, what if this goes right? That single mindset shift is the engine behind every story of someone who quietly built wealth over time. Now, let's deal with the pushback, because I can already hear it, but $20,000 isn't enough. Inflation is eating it alive. What about market crashes? What if an emergency costs more than that? And you're right, 20K doesn't solve everything. It won't make you bulletproof forever. But that's not the point. The point is that 20K is a launchpad. It gets you out of survival mode and into stability. And once you are there, you can finally build upward. Here's how you handle the objections. Inflation, keep a portion liquid, say 10K to 15K, in a high yield savings account for emergencies, then put the rest to work in broad low cost index funds where it can grow faster than inflation over the long run. Market crashes, stop trying to time them. If you're investing automatically through dollar cost averaging, the ups and downs don't matter. Over decades, the trend is up. And what if an emergency costs more than 20K? That's life. But here's the difference. With no savings, even a $500 car repair is a disaster. With 20K, you can absorb a hit and keep going. It's not about covering every single possibility. It's about building a cushion strong enough that you can think clearly and act wisely when life throws something at you. So yes, 20K won't make you rich. It won't insulate you from every possible scenario, but it buys you stability, confidence, and momentum. And those are the ingredients that let you build real wealth. Here's where the line in the sand gets obvious. The average path looks like this: less than $5,000 in savings, maybe a couple $100 in the bank at the end of the month if they're lucky. Every paycheck is already spoken for before it even arrives. One car repair or one medical bill and the whole system collapses. Stress is constant. Choices are limited, and long-term plans, they don't even exist because survival eats all the attention. Now look at the disciplined path. This is someone who's built $20,000 in savings. They've got 3 to 6 months of runway sitting in cash, ready for the unexpected. Credit cards, paid in full every month. Housing and transport, capped at a level that doesn't strangle their income. Investments, automated, steady, boring, but effective. The difference between the two paths isn't just numbers in a bank account, it's quality of life. The average saver wakes up with anxiety. The disciplined saver wakes up with options. The average saver says yes to every demand out of fear. The disciplined saver says no when it doesn't serve them because they can afford to walk away. Same world, same economy, same opportunities, but two completely different lives depending on whether you stay stuck under 5K or push through to 20K. At $20,000, you're not just someone with a decent savings account. You've proven something bigger, that you can delay gratification, resist lifestyle creep, and actually hold on to money. That proof changes how you see yourself. You're no longer the person scrambling to survive. You're the person who can build, protect, and grow. From here, every extra dollar compounds, not just financially, but psychologically. Each decision reinforces the identity of someone who makes money work for them instead of being controlled by it. And that identity is what separates people who quietly build wealth from those who stay stuck in the same paycheck to paycheck loop forever. So here's your next step. Set up an automatic transfer every week, even if it's just $50. And don't stop until you see that 20K sitting there. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. That's your foundation. That's your walking away money. That's the milestone where everything starts accelerating. Remember, 20K isn't the finish line. It's the turning point. Cross it, protect it, and your future self will thank you for the rest of your life.